Hi everybody, this is Cindy from Ideas Times 2 and I have a quick tutorial for you today. A few months ago I made a file folder journal with a pocket and had put it in our Etsy shop and had done a flip through, and I'll put that below. It sold a long time ago, but you might want to see what it looks like. And I'd actually made a couple of them, and someone had asked for a tutorial, and so I know it's been a few months, but I'm finally getting around to it. And so I thought I would share with you today the pocket, and I don't know if I'll have time to do the journal, but we'll see. This may be a two-parter, but I'm hoping we can get it done in one. So what you're going to need to do both the pocket and the journal cover are two file folders, and you can see this is just a standard file folder that I have coffee stained, and I am going to put a collage on the front, sew up the sides, and make a pocket. But the journal I'm making is 9 by 6 inches, and so the standard file folder is a little big for what I want. And so what I'm going to do is cut it down and put the notches back in, because I like the fact that it still will look like a file folder. And then I'll do the collage on the front along with you today, and if there's time I'll show you the journal that goes on the inside. So what I'm going to do is take about 3/4 of an inch off of the side, so that it's not quite so big. I know 3/4 of an inch doesn't sound like a lot, and maybe you don't want to cut it down at all. That's fine. If you don't have file folders, that's fine as well. You can use cardstock, you can use a cereal box. I use cereal boxes for everything, so I know that would work really well. And if I coffee stain this one, as you can see, but if you don't like coffee staining or tea staining, or you don't have time and you don't want to wait for it to dry, you can see I baked mine. I put it in my toaster oven. That's fine too. You can leave it plain, or if you have colored file folders, that's great too. You can do whatever you want. That's, I think, one of the best things about crafting, is that you can take somebody else's idea with it and tweak it and change it and make it your own. I'm also going to take off of the top. Don't need too much off of the top. In fact, I'm just going to take about really a 1/2 inch from the shortest side and trim that down. But like I said, I like my file folders to look like file folders on this project. And so what I'm going to do, after I trim off these little pieces, my blade is obviously getting a little dull, is use what I just cut off as a guide to where I want to put the notches back. And so what I normally do is just take a pencil and trace along the edge of my trim pieces, and then I use that to cut. And since I cut this side as well, I'm going to re-notch that, and then on the other side I'm going to do the same thing and just trace. And then cut it. And I know you probably don't want to watch me cut, so I already have one. So you can see it still looks like a file folder, it's just a little smaller. And these are, this one I also coffee stained, front and back, but I just spritzed it because I didn't want, the inside didn't need to be stained, and it dries faster that way. So like I said, I'm going to turn this into a pocket, and so the sides are going to need to be sewn or glued shut, but before I do that, I want to put a collage on the front. And so I completed a project yesterday that I had a bunch of things left over, just a pile of stuff, and so I figured this project would go by a lot faster if I use what I already have out and already started. So what I'm going to do is start my collage with a paper bag, and you can see this is from Panera, and it had a sticker on it. This is from a chocolate chip cookie I had for lunch the other day, and I like to keep the top open so I can put something on the inside, like a little journal that can go inside. Nothing too big because it's going to be sewn down, but I like to put something on the inside, so I always leave the top open. So I'm going to start with that, and then I have a huge pile of scraps and whatnot over here from the project I finished yesterday, and I'm going to start with some doilies, and unfortunately I don't have bigger ones. It'd be nice to have a nice big one there on the, right in the middle, but I am down to this tiny little size, which they're awfully cute, but they're not quite as practical as some of the other sizes that I've had. So I'm going to put those there to start with. Let's see, I don't need the paper cutter anymore. Let me put that away. And when I collage, I like to have a little bit of everything. I like to have text. I like to have music. I like to have some textiles, and maybe some vintage, some metal. Just what I like, a little bit of everything. And so this is for a Christmas project, which I know Christmas is only 10 days away. It's a little late to be making Christmas projects. But be that as it may, let's see what I have here. And grab this pile, this stash of whatnots, and see what we can put together here. I really have not had a whole lot of Christmas spirit this year. I haven't even put up my tree, which I know is kind of sad and pathetic, but sometimes Elvis didn't sing about a blue Christmas for nothing. I know I'm not the only one who's a little bummed this year. But I'm trying to get a little more in the spirit by doing some Christmas crafts. We'll see who the recipient of this is. It might wind up in the Etsy shop. It might wind up as a gift. I have no idea. And for the sake of the tutorial, it doesn't really matter, does it? But how about some music? I think we need some music on there. Like I said, I have a bunch of scraps, but nothing is inked or aged up at all. But this is not going to take long. Let's see. It's amazing how fast things go when you just have a pile of scraps laying around and you are determined to use them for your project. Let's see. Need something down here. I have a little bit more music. Paper scraps. I think we'll go with the music. I'm using some Christmas carols from a cheap little caroling book that I picked up for $1 at a little antique store this summer. Iridescent, that sounds like a good Christmas word. I had that out for my other project and didn't use it. Let's see. The project I finished yesterday was cardinals. It was a Christmas cardinal journal. So obviously that's what I have left over. Cardinal ephemera. And let's see. I don't think I need... I need something right there, but I don't know what should go there. I know a lot of people don't like the inking, the sound of the inking on film. I had a student tell me on Friday, that sometimes she watches the videos, it just has them playing in the background because she finds it soothing just to listen to the sounds of crafting, which I thought was funny. Maybe put that there. I still need something there. I don't know. Don't know. Let's see. Well, while I think about it, I am going to start gluing some other things together. Also, I'm going to do some sewing on this before I sew everything together. I'm going to do maybe some wonky stitching on here. But yeah, I don't know, something needs to go there. So I'm just using 3-in-1. Hobby Lobby has quit carrying Fabri-Tac. At least the one by my house no longer carries Fabri-Tac, which is really disappointing. So now if I want Fabri-Tac, I have to go to the mall. Oh, I hate going to the mall. The traffic is always so bad, and honestly, you could not pay me to go up to the mall at this time of year. No way, no how. Yeah, not happening. You could use glue stick for this. You know, Fabri-Tac, Fabri-Fix. Glue stick would work really well, I think, because, like I said, I'm going to sew. As soon as the glue dries, I'm going to do some wonky stitching. So that will be add another element of color, another element of texture. I still need something. All right. I'll let that glue dry and then glue these down. when I do the collages, I generally do them on top of the file folder, even though I'm obviously putting it on the paper bag. Paper bag is actually the background for the collage, not the folder, but I still leave it on there so I can kind of keep a, you know, an eye on where things are in relation to the folder as a whole. I don't know if that's where it was to start with, but I think that's where it needs to go. And just a little off on the side. Okay. Now I'm going to let that dry. And I will be right back after I do a little bit of sewing. So see you in a few. Well, I'm back from sewing, and I must have forgotten to push play because I've been talking for about 5 minutes and then just realized it wasn't recording. So what I did was I did wonky stitching around the individual pieces, and then I glued everything down to the bag after I stitched. And so I gathered some little black netting and this little piece of fabric with a cardinal on it, and then once the glue was dry, I stitched all the way around the bag. I left the back of the bag open, so there's room to put, like, I don't know, a tag or something back here. And then inside the bag I also left open so that there would be room to put a little journal. So this is a little mini journal that I just stitched together with just a few pieces of kind of coordinating paper. It's all been coffee stained, and that fits right inside. Just like that. And because I didn't cover all of the cellophane of the bag, you can see that the journal is inside there. So the last thing I did was, after the collage was dry and after everything was stitched on, glued down, stitched on, I sewed around all 3 sides of the file folder. And the bottom, of course, doesn't need to be sewn because it's folded, obviously. I did that for continuity. If you don't want to do that, don't do that. If you don't have a sewing machine, you don't need to do any sewing. You could glue down the sides, and that would be fine. You could use some washi tape if you want to add some color. You don't need to do any of the wonky stitching if you don't like the stitching on there. The reason I chose to do that was because I wanted another texture and another splash of color. And you'll notice I also left all of the strings long, and I did that because I wanted it to look a little grungy. And so that's why I coffee stained the file folder and inked all the edges and left the thread. If that is not your style, no problem, just trim everything off or don't do the stitching. It's crafting. It's up to you. So that is the pocket. If you would like to add a closure, which, let's go ahead and add a closure. I think I'm going to do kind of a standard eyelet and ribbon. And so I'm going to go ahead and, I was going to eyeball, but I think I'll go ahead and measure. It's almost 11 inches, so at about 5.5, which is right there, I'm going to add a and couple of holes, and I'm going to do both holes at the same time so that I know that everything is in the right spot, and I can with this project. And I will add a couple of gold eyelets. Hey, Lizzie. I think my cat's getting hungry. Well, she's a cat. Of course she's of course she's getting hungry. I swear, cats are hungry all the time. Well, I apologize for that. That scared the daylights out of everybody. A couple of projects I had or have ready to go in their big Ziploc bags. And yeah, that scared me. Lizzie, did that scare you? All right. I love my cat, but she's a little bit of a fraidy cat. She's scared of everything. All right, let's go ahead and put the eyelets in. And flip it over and do the other side. You know, you obviously could do this before you sew. Might be a little easier, but it doesn't matter too much. This is actually pretty easy. Okay, there we go. 2 eyelets, and I have some nice bright red ribbon. I will attach to those, and I think I don't know how long I've been filming. I have no clue, but I think I'll probably stop here, and I will come back and show you the journal on the next video. It won't take, and that won't be very long, but so that's the pocket. And if you don't want a closure, don't put a closure on there. And I'm just going to use ribbon, and there we go. So pretty simple, very quick, very easy, and you can use your scraps and whatever you happen to have handy. If you don't have a bag, I like to start with the bag. If you don't have a bag, don't worry about it, or use any other kind of bag. I just was using the trash from my Panera lunch the other day, and then scraps from the journal that I finished yesterday. So there you have it. Pretty quick, simple, and easy. I'll be back with part 2 shortly. So thank you so much for watching. Check out our Etsy shop. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Sorry for the crash a couple of minutes ago when my projects all fell off their shelf. But we all know that space is a premium in our crafting spaces, right? So I know I'm not alone in making a mess. So thank you so much. Have a fantastic week, and happy holidays. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.